Oh, only 5 minutes, not bad.
Okay, so very quickly we saw the administration class, and we spoke about that. Sorry guys, I was not recording right now. So 5 minutes, Claudia says. So those are the people that are in the government, in the administration office, and in the state level, in the federal level. So these are the people who are not the Brahmins, the teachers, the professors, the people who have this passion for learning. Those are the people with a lot of sattva backed up by some rajas. So the people, the politicians and the police officers and so on, they have a lot of rajas backed up by sattva. So they have a value for dharma, and they are inclined to work in that way, doing things and organizing, structuring, giving instructions and creating laws and structuring society. So they have a lot of rajas as well, but they have a lot of sattva guna as well. But rajas is the front one who compels them to act rather than compelling the other ones who are mostly sattvic, the professors, the teachers. They are more compelled to study, to contemplate, okay, and less compelled to do things, okay. So we all have these three energies, and we know, So we tend to have this inclination to study and reflect, contemplate. But as we know, some of us have a lot of rajas as well, and it's a question of combining rajas and sattva, you understand, and keeping some amount of tamas so that we can have a good night of sleep and so on. So the business people is the third class, and they are the ones doing selfish business and activities. They want to bear the fruits of their own actions, and in the process they create jobs, and they structure society with industries and fields and agriculture and all these society activities, that makes a nation, health. So they unlikely and everything, making them best suited for unskilled labor. Okay, now this is the last one. The last class, as we know, the people who have a lot of tamas condition their mind and body, complex, and they are not attracted to start. They are a little bit lazy to go and begin a business and do things like that. But they're okay to do simple work, simple jobs in the factory, and they just want to be told, this is the service class, Sudras. They just need to be told, do this, do that, and then they can do some monotonous and repetition kind of job in a line of production. For example, you find these people, it's their nature somehow. They were born with that kind of guna tendency or configuration, but they have the freedom to change things around. So if you are born in a tamasic family where people sit around all day long and drinking beer and doing things like that, I have observed that long before I got to Vedanta. In retrospective, I could remember and see. I mean, I had a restaurant. I used to employ a lot of kids, young people. And these people, I could see the background of the family and then see, oh, this is a very tamasic family. This lazy, is the people who do not like to do much. You have to be behind them again and again, tell them, oh, you forgot this, you forgot that, and so on. Whereas the Rajasic people are people that they were born in a different environment and they are more active. They like to get things done. And those are the people usually who can grow in society and be more successful. It means to say you can be born in a tamasic environment, but you have the liberty to turn around your tendency and move into a more Rajasic kind of environment and do more Rajasic, and then you can even go into the class of state or federal government place, where you can serve in that. You can just move. You're free. Whereas the people who are born in the four castes, they can never leave their caste. That's what I learned from Swami Paramarthananda. They are born there and they are bound to be there because those are divisions that exist in the caste system, which I do not understand very well. I would have to find the audio class in which Paramarthananda, teach those things, but and listen to it again to elaborate better this distinction. But this distinction is like those are not two things. These four classes we find in every society all over the world, and it's easy for us to understand. But the caste is something very, very, very Indian. It's within the Hindu society, and it serves a certain purpose, and which I do not remember and understand very well. But I know from hearing from Swami P and some of my Indian friends that a very rich man from a lower caste, he remains as a lower caste individual because he's not allowed to change. You understand? He was born that way, you die that way in that caste, but you can be wise and rich at the same time, but you never leave your caste. And I don't understand the social kind of, play, or dynamics or structure that prevents a person to move from one caste to another. The person from that caste can never marry somebody from another caste to begin with. These divisions are seen in all societies, for they are based upon universal configurations of the gunas, of course. These gunas, these three force energies, qualities that define how an individual lives, thinks, and functions in the material world. Okay, so I guess most of us here are Rajasic. We came from a more Rajasic nature, environment. So we lived a life where we were pursuing our goals, our desires, and we are not just sitting back. Why I'm saying that? Because you never find really Tamasic people coming to Vedanta. They don't come. You understand? Very, very Tamasic, basic Tamasic person never feels attracted to Vedanta. It takes people who have more Rajasic nature, people who want to accomplish certain goals in life, and then finally enough, one wants to achieve self-knowledge and moksha. And then we need so much rajas to get there. And then once we get there, and then it's just a question of converting some of these rajas into sattva, you understand? And then we develop a more and more contemplative, reflecting mind, meditative mind, a mind fit to develop the qualifications which are necessary for this final discrimination and I consciousness and my mind, my intellect, and so on. Anybody has anything to say, or I can carry on a little bit more? Because this is a Q&A session that somehow we have a...
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, why is having this class, these four classes discussed here. I'm not sure how that's helpful. Like you talked about hiring, like if you're going to hire people, it sounded like, well, really what you're looking to hire is people from the merchant class, the Vasya class versus the service class or Sudra class. Like if you're going to hire people for your restaurant, you're looking for the merchant class. Is that an application, or is that?
Yeah, this knowledge, all these different aspects of Vedanta body of knowledge, it's if you look at them isolate like that, you'll see what's the practical application of this. But it's not necessarily a practical application that it serves. It serves the purpose of making us better understand ourselves. You understand? The way we operate by these three gunas, these three energies, and then in retrospective, we can look back and we can see. So I have had this nature which was more Rajasic, which is my guess, about most of us here. You understand? And then, and this is in to our advantage, because a tamasic person somehow does not get over the desire for security and pleasures, you know, because it's too lazy to satisfy itself with a certain degree of security and pleasure. So we have had that opportunity. We were born already with that nature, and then now we are moving into converting those desires into desires for Dharma and moksha, you know. And then in which way it's important for us to understand. It's understanding that, you know, if we have a more rajasic tendency, we need to understand that it has served the purpose to bring me to Vedanta. And now I need to convert some of these rajas into sattva. We don't want to neglect rajas, but we want to avoid what I was mentioning before, of having rajas compulsively running my day, you know, because one thing is to use rajas because it is necessary for certain accomplishments in the day-to-day experience of life. Another thing is to be driven by rajas as a habit, you know, as an addiction. So unnecessary rajas is such a waste. So we need to manage these energies in a way by understanding, so that I cultivate and maintain the necessary amount of rajas for me to accomplish, you know, my physical, material goals in life. And also I need some rajas to, in the end of the day, or every second day, or twice a week, to bring my mind into the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana suggested by Vedanta, because even for that I need some rajas. Have you tried sometimes when you were totally tamasic and you try to bring your mind to Vedanta, and it's a waste of time, waste of energy, you know, you are too tamasic, you know, you can't. I have seen it with some of my close friends who have been studying Vedanta with me for quite some time. So some of them, for some reason, for illness or very, very old age, their mind turned to become a little bit more tamasic. And then this work becomes more difficult, you understand? If the body-mind turns to become more tamasic, and then this work is more difficult. Then what I'm trying to say, that we want to use our vital energy while we're still, you know, in good age, to keep converting and not wasting our energy with unnecessary rajas, you understand? We keep the rajas that it's necessary, but let's not waste, because we cannot convert tamas into sattva when the mind is tamasic. And this is a very nice teaching that Swami Paramarthananda explains in detail. So if a mind is too tamasic, it cannot be converted to a sattvic mind. You understand? Because conversion takes energy. And without the necessary energy, you cannot do that conversion, that transformation of rajas into tamas, into sattva. So we have to watch out our rajas and not waste it, you know, just letting rajas run, you know, govern us, you know, push us around, so that we end up doing and thinking, compulsively talking, compulsively doing. This is rajas, you know, just pushing us around, warning out our body-mind complex, you understand? So we need to be wise and manage. This is the management that Ramji talks about, managing the three gunas. We manage it by understanding the way it somehow operates, and we understand ourselves better, you know. And then I will say, okay, and I understand now that my goal here as a seeker of self-knowledge and moksha is to cultivate and maintain more sattva. I have no problem with rajas because I was rajasic my whole life, but now I need to have more sattva, because I understood that nothing that I can do is going to produce the limitless result I'm looking for. I want to realize my limitless nature, whole, full, and complete. And no doing is going to solve that, accomplish that. Only knowledge, understanding. Therefore, I need to be a little bit stingy with my rajas in the way that I want to not wasting my rajas doing unnecessary activities right and left. You understand? That's the point of these teachings. It's always about us.
Very nice.
So, one of the key understandings in the Vedic teachings is called Dharma, as we know, which relates to following the natural order of life with reference to action, duties, responsibilities, and the way we behave, our conduct in life. So this is a key. And as I said in the beginning, Dharma needs to be taught to us because of free will. Our free will is driven by ignorance in most cases. We want what we want, and we do not want what we do not want. Those are vasanas. They are just based on desires and aversions. I have a desire, my likes and my dislikes. And then if I begin living life moved by these likes and dislikes, you understand? Desires and aversions. And then I'm just being driven by avidya, ignorance, because the purpose of life is to go beyond those likes and dislikes and begin living a life in a dharmic manner. This is what it means to go from the desires for security and pleasures, entertainments, power, and this and that, and then I grow up to develop a value for dharma, the third human pursuit. So now I'm more inclined to follow dharma. Follow dharma seems to be easy, but it's not as easy as it seems, because it takes tremendous effort to go against those vasanas that want to do things only for the sake of experiencing what it likes and to avoid what it does not like. If we are driven that way, we are unavoidably, we're going to start to begin violating these natural laws, because the desire to accomplish my self-centered goal is so strong that somehow I become blind to the fact even that I'm violating Dharma. It's so easy to violate Dharma without even noticing, because this ignorance is very, very smart, canning or cunning. So Dharma is our nature. It's a fundamental nature of life, of this well-intelligent, ordered structure of life, and which extends itself to society when it comes to the human experience. So we need to understand Dharma also relates to universal Dharma, that which is good for all. It's good for the environment, good for society. So such as the non-injury law, Dharma. No, the Dharma of not doing anything to others that I wouldn't wish was done to me. This is the most fundamental universal law. Okay, I don't want to cheat, I don't want to lie, I don't want to kill, because I don't want those things happening to me as well. If I have a value for for honesty and and truth and straightforwardness and so on. So, and then I don't do to others what I don't appreciate could be done to me. So this is basic universal Dharma. So, and then we need to look at the situational Dharma, because every situation, it brings itself in such a way that sometimes it appears that there is a universal law being override, being broken, but it's not really the case. It's the fact that in certain circumstances, we need to do certain things that on the surface it appears to be something unfair. For example, we say that not killing is the most universal law, okay? But nations, when they go to war, and when they go to war for a noble reason, which is rare nowadays, suppose there is a real noble war like the one in the time of Arjuna with Krishna, and then the law of not killing has to be, override. you know, left behind, because Krishna, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, no, go and kill these violators of Dharma. Okay, so it appears like, wow, what is the universal Dharma? No, the universal Dharma exists, but we need to take into account the situational Dharma. Okay, on the situational level, we are going to be called to act appropriately, you know, and many times it appears that we violate the universal Dharma, but it's not really the case. Much of the Vedic literature deals with living in alignment with Dharma. Most of the Vedic literature is about how to live in harmony with life, with all other beings, all other creatures, you know, following these laws that structure society as far as, yeah, the human experience, the human life. So most of these Vedic literatures is that manual that I was referring to at the beginning, which must override one's own personal likes and dislikes. Ah, there we go. Ignorant people, unreligious people, unspiritual people, they just act according to what they like and dislike, you know, what they want to get and want to avoid, desires and aversions. Okay, so most people, but once you see the value of Dharma, and you don't follow Dharma because you feel like, oh yes, I'm gonna follow Dharma because I have heard that if I don't follow Dharma, I'm gonna burn in hell. So no, we don't do that just for the sake of fear of hell, or desire for heaven. We don't do that. We do that because we understood Nitya, we understood Ishvara, we understood how this order of reality functions, works. And we know that every time we are violating Dharma, we are hurting ourselves first. You know, we are bringing ourselves down. Rather than growing, we are declining. Every time I go against these laws, I suffer. It's only this understanding that can really bring us to the determination to fight these vasanas, which are nothing but our binding desires and fears, desires and aversions, likes and dislikes. So we need to understand I'm destroying myself first, and in the process, I'm damaging others and the environment. You understand? Only then human beings have the power to fight these likes and dislikes, these desires and aversions, these vasanas, all based on the total spiritual ignorance, which is ignorance in respect to these natural laws, dharmic laws, as well in respect to the fact that objects of experience are never going to free the individual from this inherent feeling, experience of smallness, incompletion, and inadequacy. Transgressing Dharma always leads to problems and undesirable consequences. 5 minutos, por favor. O Silvia, abre para mim, faz ele subir lá. Tudo bem. Undesired. Ok, você pode subir, tá? Chama ele. Chama ele. Okay, going back. Transgressing Dharma always leads to problems and undesirable consequence. Just imagine if people would know that, if they would really look and see through the whole system here, they would be like so clear about, no, I don't want to do that because I'm bringing myself down by following my desires in a compulsive, binding manner, you understand? I cannot be happy doing that. You say, why most of these religious structures, they fail? They fail because they don't present the entire logic, which is based on the relationship between the human being and God. And God is not only God up there, but it is the laws structuring society, you know, and it is the environment, you know, manifests itself as the environment. So these religious structures, they are good. because at least they make people think, oh my God, if I do too bad, I may burn in hell. But then they keep declining to a point that they come to a point and say, oh no, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in heaven, I don't believe in hell, and I just go for it. I just want what I want. We see these extreme materialist people, Adamic, they come to the point that they want to challenge even God. They say God does not exist. All there is life, and everything is here for my enjoyment. It is for this reason that the Vedic system teaches classifications of society in which all people play their part according to their nature, to their dharma, as determined by the gunas. So we need to follow our dharma nature. This is another point. Now I remember Swami Paramarthananda talking about that. If we have a certain guna nature, and if this guna nature is really, really solid and so on, we should never go against our guna nature. You understand? For example, if somebody has the nature, a contemplative nature, a sattvic nature to start, to go to the libraries and study. So it's better to keep that nature, even if it does not bring much money to in the end of the month. You understand? As opposed to just, oh no, this is not, is not making me a successful rich person, so I'm going to be a business person. Okay, so that is not good unless it's really necessary. Okay, another twist of these teachings about dharma, our dharma nature, is that our dharma nature, our guna nature might be override if there is a role I need to play in society that requires that. And the simple example is like, suppose I have a huge tendency to be a musician. It's my nature, you understand? I was born with this talent, I'm an artist. But somehow, as I was young, I lost my father. My father was the only provider, and I'm the oldest son. So now my family duty has to override my dharma nature, my guna nature as an artist. Why? Because the dharma, the role, the dharma in the society, is my role in society is more important even than my guna nature in those cases. And we see several passages in the Vedic scriptures, lined line out these examples, that no, I have to sacrifice my dharma nature. Why? Because it's my nature, it's something more profound than just sacrificing my desire, but there is a higher call here, and it's to play my role in society. And in this case, I have to take over the shop of my father and do a job in that area as a servant, selling things behind the desk, because there is something more involved here. There is there is the good, the benefit of the whole family involved here, understand, which requires a sacrifice even on my guna nature. Okay, so there are all these passages that can show to us, how difficult it is for us sometimes to go against our desires and even to go against our guna nature, you understand? Although they are going to be shaping, in generally speaking, our life. The 4 stages of life is what we have been talking here. The scriptures talk of 4 stages. This is something else, okay? They talk about 4 stages of life, which is different from 4 classes of society. Everyone must go. The first stage, we all know, we are kids and we need to start, and dad and mom is going to provide everything for us, and we have one dharma only, one obligation only. The only obligation we have is to start. Respect the structure of society, respect the parents and the teachers, and behave in a good manner, and start. It's the only thing that is expected to us in that first stage, stage as a student, okay? And then as we grow to become a worker in the society. Now I have a degree and I have a job. I need to have a job and I need to contribute to society, and I need to become a provider for my new family now. I have a wife Soon I have children. And then we go about as the householder state, grashta, stage of life. And we all know that. Usually in the old days, it used to take 25 and 30 years. Nowadays in society, it's taking much longer until we can retire. But generally speaking, after 30 or 40 years, we retire. And then when we retire, we enter in the third stage of life, which is a stage that we stop doing, and we begin studying the scriptures. Okay. Before I couldn't study as much because I was doing a lot to provide to my family, but any possible occasion I was keeping association to the scripture. Now I retired, and then my mind goes into this liberating spiritual knowledge. So I'm on my third stage. And then the fourth stage that they say is the stage of leaving behind everything, even the role of the top of the family. Because even as a retiree, you are home and you study still, you are the head of the family, you have some duties and obligations to keep everything in control. But after having studied, reflected, and contemplated for a certain period of time, and then I go say, okay, now I have done my 3 stages of life, and now I go to an ashram, I go to the forest, and I become a sannyasi because I don't want any distractions anymore. I want to assimilate this spiritual knowledge, and I want moksha, I want freedom, I want self-knowledge. Gradually, over time, a person's career winds down and the kids leave home and so on. This is the stage I have just mentioned. Liberation from world and attachment. In the final stage of life, the person has fully dedicated his or herself to inner freedom, contemplation, nididhyasana, leaving behind all duties of society, all obligations to become a sannyasi. And sannyasi does not necessarily mean to wear orange clothes and be part of an ashram. It's an inner attitude, of I want no more distractions. I want to keep my mind on these teachings until I have fully assimilated and experiencing the fruits of this self-knowledge. Following this life stage model, which is based upon Dharmic understanding. I would say this is a very nice topic that next week we could, before we go into the following one, and I would invite you to begin with some questions next week. Otherwise, I talk, and you guys will not present your doubts and questions. But this part here of these 4 stages of life is a good part that we could play some questions and answers and understanding how this structure of society, which was very common, it was easy to observe in the old days. In nowadays, society has changed so much, but in which way it still applies in nowadays in our life? In which way, we have to come to a point that we say, okay, now I have retired and I want to keep more of my time and energy into this Vedantic endeavor, and how it comes to a point to one's life that says, okay, now I want no distractions anymore, I have lived what I want to live, I have achieved and accomplished everything. Now, the only thing missing here is the hard and fast self-knowledge, which is going to be conducive to freedom, this moksha thing. Okay, so in which way these 4 stages of life apply to our experience in modern society? This could be a good discussion for next week. What do you think, David?
I'm just writing down, I mean, just don't answer the question, but it's like I was talking before, it really begs the question if it really takes Rajas to develop Sattva.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, and I think that applies to, like, if you're going into this retirement stage, then how do you develop the Rajas to be able to develop the Sattva, to be able to develop that stage? And
yes.
So that would be, that to me would be a good discussion topic.
A good discussion. We want to come to that stage of life, not completely overtaken by rajas. You understand? We need to regulate our rajas, right, so that our mind is not absolutely overtaken by rajas in a way that it cannot contemplate anymore. You understand?
Yeah, and a current concept that goes around or is in the States, we really talk about active retirement. And so to me, it's like it's the play of those two gunas, of the Rajas and Sattva, and Tamasic. I mean, it's how the gunas play. But we have a tendency to call active retirement because people don't want to retire because they associate that with being almost could be very tamasic, and they say they don't want to lose their rajasic nature, so they want active retirement. So yeah, we could talk about that.
This is a very good point, because people do not understand sattva, that people can be very creative and contemplative and get a lot of satisfaction, peace, and joy by studying and contemplate this spiritual knowledge. You understand? It's a very creative way of lifestyle. You understand? People think, oh, if I stop doing, I'm dead. And this goes with the notion, the misunderstanding that if you are contemplative, if you are Vedantino or whatever, you are lazy because you are not doing anything in society. No, not doing does not mean laziness. It can be something very creative. In fact, it's the only activity that can free the individual from this suffering, is the activity of contemplation, the study on the spiritual body of knowledge. You understand? Okay.
And another point that we can discuss also is about a little better about Dharma, because Ranji says that we also can say no to Ishvara. No, so we can discuss also about this, because to clarify better, like you said before, that sometimes we have to respect our role in society and not following our nature. So next time maybe. But
yeah, I think we have a good base for a nice Q&A next week. Okay, Claudio.
Yeah.
Today we have a problem here. We have three small pieces of 3 small sections. The first 2 small and the third one. Can you glue it together?
Yes, yeah, of course, you send me.
And then I give you access to my YouTube, and then you can post it for me, and then later on I can edit.
Of course.
Okay. Okay. Good, we made it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my friends. We meet again soon. Ishvara willing. Much love.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks, Alinda. Bye now.
Thank you. Kiss and hugs.